bringing you a kid-friendly radio show. Every Saturday afternoon on YouTube. Broadcasting live at 1 o'clock. Broadcasting live at 1 o'clock.
Hello and welcome to episode 60 of the Brit Show with me, Ethan. Coming up on today's show, my interview with the man behind CBBC legend Hacker the Dog, Puppeteer, Fletcher. But before that, there wasn't a show 2 weeks ago because I was very busy performing with my drama group, but we are back this week. This episode today is also a day late because I was busy on Saturday, so that is why it's coming out on Monday instead of Sunday. Also, if you find me looking at the camera more during this video, it's because I have a teleprompter slash auto cue that I bought with my Christmas and birthday money, which means I can still read my script like I am actually now, but I can also look at the camera. But now it's time for my interview with the incredible Fletcher, the puppeteer of Hacker the Dog. Welcome on the show, the man behind the CBBC legend Hacker the Dog. It's Puppeteer Fletcher. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing really, really good. That's so before we get in to it, I do want to say it's really surreal interviewing you today. I've heard your voice for so many years. It's made me laugh tens, even hundreds of times.
Thank you.
And it's really weird to not see that voice coming out of Hacker. CBBC was my childhood, and CBCHQ was one of the reasons actually why it showed me that I could be a TV presenter, and because of the entertainment that you have created with Hacker and all of the other CBBC presenters. So thank you for taking out time out of your day to talk to me.
My pleasure,
today.
Cocker. I enjoy doing these sorts of things, and thank you for inviting me on it.
Thank you to you too. So if people don't know who you are, tell them what you do.
I am Hacker the Dog from CBBC. I'm a puppeteer. I perform the CBBC mascot, Hacker the Dog. I've done it for 13 years, every day on the live CBBC channel, messing about all the bits between the shows. For the older viewers, it's like the broom cupboard.
Yeah, good explanation. So let's go right back to the start. So what were you like at school?
I did puppets at school. I didn't do sports today. I didn't do any sports stuff. I was a puppeteer, a puppet builder from being a little kid, and I've always done it. I've no memories of doing anything else prior to that. That's what I've always done.
So
boring story, I know, but it's the truth.
So did you always want to be a puppeteer when you were younger, or did you not know it could be a job?
No, I always wanted to be a puppeteer when I was about 4, and I always knew I would be a puppeteer. I started my own company at 11. I started doing kids shows when I was 11. I never actually aspired to be a TV puppeteer. I aspired to just to be a puppeteer. So as soon as I started making money from doing puppet shows, as far as I was concerned, I'd achieved my goal, and that was when I was a kid still.
Yeah. So when were you first exposed to puppets? Why did you start making puppets and performing puppet shows?
Yeah, I can't remember. It can only be because I was a fan of the Muppets, or I was a fan of Rod and Emu and Keith and Orville. I don't have any memories prior to puppets, sadly. I've done it since I was about 4.
Oh, wow. So did you do puppet shows for your family then?
I used to do puppet shows at Christmas for the family, yeah. Just sat with a puppet on and lip syncing to records at the time. Then I started doing a show, and then I got a booth made. My dad made me a booth. I did puppet shows for the local kids and stuff. And then I started getting paid for doing them. So that was when I started. Oh, really? At 11 now.
Yeah. So how did you feel actually when at 11 that you first made money out of this thing that you've been doing since you were 4?
Well, I knew I'd do it, you see. I was never under any pretense that I wouldn't do it. I literally knew that would be my thing. So I wasn't surprised or shocked really. And I still am. I'm still not really. I knew that's what I would. It's all I can do. It's all I know.
Yeah. So why do you think you love puppets so much?
I don't know. I just love them. You can get away with murder with puppets, and you can sort of portray any character you like with puppets, really.
Yeah.
And I love them, really. And I make them, so I love making them.
Yeah. So after school, what did you want to do? Did you want to do puppeteering full time?
Yes, I did.
So
and I did. I started a cabaret show, so I would tour the country doing puppet cabaret for years. I used to work in factories just to subsidise the income. But in about 2003, I think it was, I went full time doing puppets, touring the country doing cabaret, and I did that for years before I started doing telly.
So if people don't know, what is cabaret?
It's where you do a 45-minute show at a holiday camp like Pontins, Butlins, and Haven, and all that.
Okay, yeah.
Usually in the kids' hour, but I used to be on about 9 o'clock, so I would be on the sort of early adult slot just before the comedy came on or whatever. So I'd do 2,000 miles a week, just trundling up and down the country. Then coming back down, doing a Haven in Scotland, then doing a Haven in Pontins in Blackpool or something, working my way down to Hastings and Camber Sands, then go back up to the top and do it all again each week.
Wow.
That was before the petrol was £2 a litre.
Yeah, it's a
you have to
very
put your prices right up nowadays.
Yeah. So when you started making money from full time, when you said in 2003, did you feel that you had really achieved it then?
Yeah, I thought, well, that's me done. I've achieved the goal there. I'm a full-time puppeteer, and I was also building puppets for other people, so that was a separate income and a separate commission job. So I was doing really well, and I thought, well, that's me done. It's brilliant. It's living the dream, living the best life, really.
Yeah. So it's a very unusual job, puppeteering. So what do your friends and family think of it?
Well, I've done it all my life, and all the people I know have known me do it all my life. So nobody I know is surprised by it, or it's never been never even been an issue or a thing to discuss, because I've always done it, you see. I'm not just jumping into it at 35 going, today I'm going to be a puppeteer, because they'd all go, you're a maniac. But that's just not how it was. It was a slow burn, you see.
Yeah. So do you think puppeteering is something you are born with, or can you become if you put in a lot of work?
I personally think you can't really learn it. I think you can learn elements of it, and I think you can learn tips and tricks of it in the same way I think you could learn a stand-up set. If you can learn a stand-up set, does not make you a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
I mean, you could learn a 10-minute routine and go out there, but I don't think that makes you a comic. And I'd say it's the same with puppets, I think. You can learn the painting by numbers elements, but that's not the same as just doing it. That's a real dog bark, and that's not hacker.
So did you ever think of doing
ventriloquism?
No, I didn't. If you can't pronounce it, don't do it. That's my motto.
So why did you ever not want to do that?
It's a different thing. Ventriloquists, the actual definition of ventriloquism is talking without moving your mouth.
Yeah,
that it's nothing to do with puppetry, really. They only use a puppet in ventriloquism because without the puppet, there's no place for that skill.
Yes, yeah.
It's a nice party trick to be able to talk without moving your mouth, but it won't sustain an hour.
No.
So they have to use puppets just to give themselves an act. It's a different way around coming at it. That's not what I came in at it. That same angle.
Yeah. So in the early 2000s, as you said, you were busy doing puppet shows all around the country, doing shows at places like Butlin, Haven, as you said. Then you did become a Hackety dog for CBBC in 2009. How did that come about?
I'll tell you, it's again a really boring and short story. They just rang me up. They literally just rang me up to come and audition for it.
So how did they know you?
Well, I can only assume they got my number off Warwick or they got my number off YouTube. I used to do YouTube videos. Do you know, I can't quite remember how it came about, but I do remember the exec producer ringing me up and asking me would I come and audition for Hacker the Dog. And I said, no, I don't want to go to London. And she said, don't be hasty. Come and audition. And I sort of went, all right, I will then, just to get the phone call over with, really.
Yeah.
And I went down and I got the job, and it was meant to be a 4-month gig. So I thought, I'll do 4 months of Hacker. When that ends, I'll just put as seen on TV on my cards and get more cabaret work. It was just thought it was just going to be a nice way to get more gigs, but it's never ended. And that's 13 years ago.
Wow, 4 months turned into 13 years.
Yeah, the longest 4-month contract in history, I think.
So, as you said, you nearly turned down Hacker. Are you glad you didn't?
Yeah, what a stupid person! And what an idiot who turned that down. My first instinct generally is to say no to everything. So I'm surprised I said yes to this interview. I normally say no to everything until then someone else rings me up and goes, what are you doing? I go, oh yeah, it was a good. So that is my default thing, to say no. If you say no to stuff, you're disappointed, I find.
Yeah. So do you like operating puppets on TV or performing puppet shows more?
I like doing both of them. They're both equally good, but TV is easier because you haven't got any setting up to do in advance. The problem with the cabaret show and the touring isn't the show, it's everything else before it. So you have to drive. Sometimes you have to drive 300 miles, then to set up all your gear and your sound system for an hour.
Yeah.
So the show is a break. In fact, the show is a rest from getting there. So TV is easier in that sense, but the actual job is the same. If I'm doing a show to 50 people in a little labour club, it's no different to me than doing Hacker, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm still underneath doing a puppet.
Yeah.
Just all the before it that's the bad bit.
Yeah.
Feel free to bleep that if you like.
So how was that like transition from going from being a puppet performer to within 4 months you were nominated for a BAFTA?
Well, that's crazy. We didn't expect that, and I'm still quite surprised at it. And I don't know what. I can only assume it was a slow news day. I can't think. I don't know what the reason for that was, but it was a great honour. Me and Ian got nominated as best presenters. We were both brand new to telly.
Yeah,
we didn't know what we were doing, so it was quite a lovely thing to get nominated. I've still got that certificate on the wall.
Wow.
And they spelled his name wrong on it, so he was furious about that.
Oh dear. Because I heard you actually lived with Ian in a flat for a period of time.
We lived in a flat for a couple of years because we both moved to London and didn't know anybody else. Because we both auditioned, ironically, separately. Ian auditioned with Dunstan the Brain, if you remember him, the puppet.
Yeah.
And our Hacker auditioned with Sam Nixon from Sam and Mark.
Yeah.
So me and Ian didn't meet each other until we both got the job and we started. We didn't get a period of time to get to know each other.
Yeah.
But it may have not worked, you see. But luckily, we got on like a house on fire straight away, and we got on really well. And we have the exact same interests, and we get on brilliantly. And we're still regularly in contact now. So luckily, it worked, and we got the BAFTA nomination. But it may have gone very differently.
Yeah. So why did you become Hacker after Andy Heath first puppeteered him in the first series of Scoop?
I don't know. I assume he wasn't available. Maybe, I think he was starting on Mongrels at the time. But when they asked me to do it, because Hacker didn't really do anything in series 1 of Scoop. He didn't talk or anything.
Yeah.
Sort of didn't need to keep the same person doing it. So I think Andy wasn't free, and it didn't really matter, really. Because I was going to play him in CBBC Prez, which is the broom, the office at the time.
Yeah.
And so in that, Hacker always said that he played a part of Hacker in Scoop. So it wasn't necessarily even the same character. It just happened to be the same puppet because they had the puppet lying around going to waste.
Okay. Yeah.
So it needn't have been Hacker.
Yeah. So you presented as Hacker between shows
Yeah.
and Scoop from then on, and then in 2011, Hacker got his own talk show called Hacker Time, which ran up until 2016. So how did you feel when you were told that you and Hacker were getting your own show?
It was amazing that we did 6 series, we did 63 episodes. You don't ever expect to get your own series, and it was such a good, funny show as well. And I populated it with loads of other puppets as well, so there was lots of puppets in it. And I played a few of them. I was Wilf, Derek, and Hacker. I was Herman in series 1 and 2. It was amazing, Hacker Time. I'd love to do it again. That was a really good run. That. You don't expect to get your own show like that. That got nominated for several BAFTAs over the years.
Oh, wow.
That we didn't win.
Oh, dear.
I've got so many certificates and no awards.
Oh, dear. I'm surprised you've not won an award yet.
I know, it's
one
day.
day.
It's a con.
One day.
It's a fix.
So there's an array of puppets, as you said, on Hacker Time. So did you make some of them puppets?
I made almost all of them. Yeah, there was a couple that Neil built. Who built Hacker. There was one called oh God, I've forgotten the name of it. It was a green sort of beige, sort of turquoisey thing with a big chin. That was one of Neil's, but most of them were mine. Derek was one of mine. Derek used to be in my cabaret show years ago. Derek McGee. Oh, wow. So I've had him for a long time. I built Wilf for series 2 at the time.
Yeah. So why did the show come to a close after 6 series and, as you said, multiple BAFTA nominations?
I've no idea. I've no idea. No one ever told me. You know what? It hasn't officially been decommissioned.
Oh, so
no one has ever
said
it's been. You never know. But it hasn't been recommissioned. But no one has officially said that is it. So it's just been in limbo for 5 years. Is it about 5 years, maybe?
Yeah.
Since I did, yeah. So I don't know is the answer. I don't know anything, do I? I'm a terrible guest on the show. I don't know any answers to anything ever.
So then you went back to do a Hacker on CBBC HQ, and for a period of time, Hacker appeared alongside his half brother Dodge before his move to CBBC. So were you good friends with the operator Warwick Brownlow Pike?
I've known Warwick for about 20 years. Me and Warwick go way back. We first met in the early days of eBay because he bought one of the puppets that I was flogging on eBay. So we met many years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
So I've known him for a long time. Dodge was brought in to replace Hacker when I went to do Scoop. And then when I came back, Dodge and Hacker stayed for a few years on CBBC.
Yeah.
And I think it might be about 5 years-ish. Is it since you went to CBBC? Is that right?
I don't know.
I don't know. As I said, I don't know anything. So Dodge went to CBBC, which I think suits him better because Warwick likes that sort of thing. He likes playing. Yeah. He likes doing more kid stuff, and I like being more daft. So CBBC is all pre-recorded, which means Warwick can put more effort in and do nicer visuals.
Yeah.
And at CBBC's live, that means I can do more gags and make the presenters laugh and just be more stupid. Because me and Warwick have those different sensibilities, really. So together we work really well because I'm daft and always for the laugh, and he's always for the quality. We get good, but separately we're great as well. Differently.
Yeah. So was there enough space?
They wouldn't cope with me in CBBC.
So was there enough space below the desk for both of you to be there?
No, there wasn't, and there never is. And then they had a smaller desk made, which made it even more tricky. But they never consider what we need. In fact, they rarely ever ask us when they're replacing the desk. They rarely ever. What do you need under? They just think they can make it work. So it's always a swap, and there's always a monitor as well. So that's always in the way.
Yeah. So
I don't mean one of their big pictures. I mean a telly.
Yeah. So have you ever accidentally been like exposed?
Oh yeah, anytime
live on air.
Loads. There's loads on YouTube. Yeah, there's often the camera will catch me head, or I will have Hacker run up to the camera to do something daft, and I caught the thing and it pointed downwards, and I was completely on. And sometimes the remote control cameras that we have sometimes go back to factory settings, so they'll sort of go mad and zoom out, and you can't stop them. You can't stop them. So I'm just getting. I'm getting more and more in shot. It happens lots. It happens a lot. Doesn't matter, does it? It's funny, isn't it?
No. So since 2009, has the puppet of Hacker changed, or is it the same puppet than
No,
all those years ago?
there've been 15 of them, and each one's
Oh
different to the
wow.
last because they're all handmade by Neil Sterenberg, so they're never going to be identical. So I think I'm on 15 now. I think
So like, what has changed between them versions?
the color changes sometimes because the people who make the fur can't always get the same colors of the fibers. So sometimes it's different color. He gets, but each one's bigger than the last. So the first one was only tiny, really tiny and small and tight to get on, and now the new one's massive, like. So he's about a foot taller than he used to be. So it's getting lower and lower on the arm. Things just change over the years. So certain things stop becoming available, like certain thicknesses of arm rods and stuff. Or the eyes sometimes are different sizes.
Yeah.
It's just what you can get when you need to get them. That's the problem with puppet making. It's hard to, you can't stock up for the rest of your life and have enough of the same thing to make this. Because you don't, when Neil first built Hacker, there was no thought of it lasting as long as it had. It was only for Scoop.
Yeah.
So Neil only made one puppet, and that was meant to be your series of Scoop, and that was it, you see.
Yeah.
But then they had the puppet line around. So then oh God, I've got to, you've got to rebuild them then. But that wasn't the plan at all, you see.
No. So is there like multiple puppets of Hacker used at like one time?
No, I use one at a time until it's knackered, and then I set the next one. So you'll often see on the Friday, for example, I'm using an old knackered one. Then on the Monday, it's a pristine, shiny, massive, fluffy one. And if anyone I would just say he's been to the doggy parlor or something. But no, it's just, I don't break them in. I just scuff them. I use one until it's knackered and then start a new one. Yeah. And very soon, people forget the previous one. Yeah. For the first few days, everyone in the gallery, I hate the new one. It's horrible. No one remembers the old one.
So, how long do you usually use one puppet for then?
They last, when I'm in CBBC HQ, they last probably about a year and a half or something. On Scoop, they wore out a bit quicker because you're doing more takes and you're getting them. Yeah. You're outside and the sweating, the foam and the glue just falls apart. It's usually around the mouth, you see, where they go, because that's taking all the pressure. Yeah. Yeah. And the wrist sack, the arms start falling off because that is, but the wrist, anything that has a constant amount of friction or something. And you can't really repair them well. It's easier just to start get a new one. Yeah. I do try and maintain him as much as I can. So he lasts longer with me using him than he would with other puppeteers, possibly. Yeah. So what exactly are like the controls for Hacker? He's a hand puppet. So your hand is in the head, the thumb is in the jaw, your fingers are in the top mouthpiece. But your middle finger is up in a hole in the head for the eyebrows. And there's like a little thimble inside. So that is his hand. And with your left hand, you're performing 2 arm rods. Okay, yeah. To move voice with your arms above your head, and you're watching a monitor, which is it's the opposite to a mirror. So when you move in one way, it goes the other way on the monitor. Yes. So like, is there a mic below the desk for use for your voice then? I clip it on my glasses. Ah, okay. Because most people have a mic on the lapel, you see. Yeah, yeah. But if you're moving your head around, you go off mic. So if it's on your glasses, it's always the same distance from your mouth, no matter what you're doing. Yeah, yeah. But sometimes you have to look up to find a prop, or you need to look at your script or the monitor. So you've got to keep your mic moving with where your head is. Yeah. So actually, is it useful for you because you can have a script all the time, so you don't need to learn your lines? Yes. Well, have you ever seen any of it? It doesn't really help. Because you're not really watching your script, you're watching the monitor all the time. So you've got to make, without the monitor, you can't make Hacker look down the camera. Yeah. Because you can't see it. So if you're watching that, you're looking at your lines, you're looking at that, then you look back and you can't remember which line you're at. So it sometimes throws you off, really. Yeah. So you've only got one hand, you've no spare hands to do anything with. Yeah. So it's sometimes worse than not having one then. Well, if you're ad-libbing and there's no script, you can't go wrong because you've not got one to go wrong from. So you've got a script, you can't find your line. So that's why Hacker will go, now, listen a minute. But I'm just going, today we're doing this or whatever. I can't find my line. Yeah. So what is a typical day in the life of you? work-wise, I start work at 3:00. So I leave my house at 2:15. I get in studio at 3. We get handed the scripts. We do a couple of rehearsals and we go live at 3:30. So we don't do any prep really. I don't see the script in advance of getting to the studio. Hacker works better when I'm completely unprepared, luckily, which is my ideal way of working.
Yeah.
Then we do live links between all the shows up until 5:30. Then I go home and I watch Coronation Street. Living the dream.
Yep. So also you get to do such amazing experiences and go to great events. Like the other day you were at Downing Street. So how was that like? Surrounded by all news reporters and then you and Hacker.
Now that photograph wasn't the other day, it was a couple of years ago, but it was Downing Street, and it's amazing because on Downing Street there had been a 30-year ban on puppets being allowed on Downing Street.
Why? Since
the original Spitting Image days.
Oh, okay.
So we had to apply to have this ban lifted so we could go and film some stuff on Downing Street. So then the ban was then put back in place. So there's no puppets allowed on Downing Street, apart from the actual cabinet people.
Yeah, wow.
So that was fun. It was a real privilege in a way because it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. So in the studio, you're normally on a little trolley. So what happens when you go outside? And I saw one occasion you had to sit in a hollowed out red sofa for the one show.
Yeah. There's always something. Yeah, you ideally you're on your trolley. Now, when I'm out and about, I generally take a trolley, but sometimes you have to be in a hollowed out couch or in a barrel or in a box or underneath a pile of leaves. It's literally, you get put wherever you need. They want you, and there's never any consideration for how hellish it's going to be, or how long you're going to be in, or how much pain you're going to be in, or if you can fit a monitor in with you. So whenever you're in a couch, for example, you still need a monitor in. So you've got a monitor probably like that, and you're up through a hole, so you can't rest your hand. It's horrible, but that's show business.
Yeah. I also saw one clip on your Facebook with the you were on like a hill, and then you had like wooden pallets all there, and then you fell off into the grass.
It was funny, very nearly. It was a big hill the other side. I could have literally hurtled. That was in Yorkshire. Imagine rolling down and the crew chasing me. It would have been very funny. Every day is an adventure with a puppet trolley. When you're on wheels, anything that you're on a hill and you've got wheels under you, it's not going to end well.
Yeah. So what's it like appearing on other shows as Hacker, like you did Celebrity Mastermind a couple of years ago?
I loved it. I loved Celebrity Mastermind. That was a great one. When they asked me to do it as Hacker, they wanted Hacker's specialist subject to be Sue Barker. And I said, well, I don't really know anything about Sue Barker in real life. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to fake it. I wanted to do it true, genuine. So I asked them, I did Puppeteer Boys because they're my favourite band. So the actual whole show was real. It wasn't, we didn't fake it at all for any of the answers or anything. I did play it genuinely to win.
Yeah.
But as Hacker.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, if it wasn't going to be the case, I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah. So is it uncomfortable sitting on that trolley all day?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I can imagine.
It's comfy for a bit, and it's not the sitting on it. It's just the way you've got to have your head. Because if you're under a desk, you can't be forward like this because you're not enough room. So you have to be like on your side, and you've got to have your hand pointing that way. So I'm facing that way. My hand's facing that way, and the monitor's down here. So I'm doing this really.
Ooh,
always turn to the left. Yeah, so when you get up at the end, you've sort of got to go crunch your neck back to the right. So that is the problem. Not everyone actually does your armour, but not really. It's more your neck, really.
Yeah, I can imagine. So what is it like meeting these A-list stars that you have had throughout the years as
amazing.
Hacker?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Again, because a lot of these things are last minute, you don't know what your day is going to pan out to be generally. Yeah. So all of a sudden you'll rock up at work just to do an afternoon of CBBC and they'll say, right, tomorrow you go into London to interview Jim Curry. And you think, God, that wasn't when I woke up, I wasn't expecting that to happen today. And those are the best moments, really, because you don't know when it's going to happen, and there's very little warning. So that's nice. Not how the day is going to pan out sometimes, and sometimes it pans out really well. Like, you're going to interview Benedict Cumberbatch this afternoon. Really? I wasn't expecting that when I was eating my Weetabix.
Yeah.
So that's a nice little perk. You don't get that in any other job, really.
No. So obviously, you appear on CBBC HQ every week. Then lockdown hit. So how was that like?
I did the first lockdown. I did it all from home, filming links on my phone like this with a printout of Hacker's Kennel behind me, so you couldn't really tell I wasn't in studio. And I would then send them in, so I didn't lose any work. Hacker was still on telly every day. And then after the first lockdown, we started going back to studio because we have always got a skeleton crew anyway. There's only ever us, me, a presenter, a cameraman, and a floor. What do you call him? Floor manager. That's right. Well done.
Thank you.
There's only 4 of us in the studio anyway, so it wasn't a problem for social distancing because we always have a small crew. So it didn't affect me at all. I did the first lockdown from home, which was a few weeks, I think. Then the rest I've not been off since, so it's just been fine. Didn't lose any work, didn't lose any money, as a lot of people did, sadly. I didn't, so that's good.
So does Hacker ever come home with you, or do you keep it at the CBC studios?
No, he's always with me. I keep him in a bag all the time because you never know when you might do something. Like, for example, the other day, I got a call just say, can you do us a quick Hacker message for Sue Barker because it's her last year at Wimbledon?
Yes.
And of course, I have to have him with me. Otherwise, I can't do anything unless I'm in studio.
Yeah.
So I've always got him with me because you never know when you need to do some bits of filming. And I've always got a little set in my workshop, in the garage. I've got a little set, a Hacker set, and all my lights set up. So I've always got a little studio prepared for any eventuality.
Yeah. Did you have that prepared before COVID or not?
Yes, I did, because I was doing Hacker's Instagram stuff from it. So by fluke, I'd started the Instagram thing maybe a year before or something, possibly.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So when we started the Instagram, I had all the backdrops printed. So yeah, but when COVID hit, I happened to have it. It was just a fluke. As everything in my career,
perfect then.
It's a complete fluke. Everything I do is a fluke. You might have realised that from
Yeah.
I don't put any planning into anything, honestly.
So hopefully you liked part 1 of my interview with Phil Fletcher. Part 2 of the interview will be out on Sunday the 31st of August. And I ask him about what's next for Hacker and have a chat with Hacker himself. I do want to say a big thank you to Phil for giving up his time for an interview. It was really surreal getting the chance to talk to him. If you want to check out more of Phil and Hacker, the link to their socials are in the description down below. Sadly, that is all we have time for in today's show. We will be back on the 31st of July at the same time with part 2 of my interview with Phil Fletcher. Please share this video with your friends and family. Like, comment, listen to last week's episode if you haven't already. Listen to this show until the end. Email me and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe because I am trying to get to 200 subscribers and it really does mean a lot. In the meantime, if you have any suggestions to make the show better, or if you want the chance to come on the show, comment below, message me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, or email me at thebrickheadshow@gmail.com. So that is all I have time for this week. We will be back on the 13th of July at the same time, but for now, goodbye.
Bringing you a kid-friendly radio show every Saturday afternoon on YouTube, broadcasting live at 1 o'clock, broadcasting live at 1 o'clock.